everybody, it's Christina Marie Weber, and I run a company called Christian Biz Owners on Fire, and we help faith-based and spiritual business owners who want a more fulfilling and prosperous business or ministry while putting God, their purpose, and their relationships first on a daily basis. So, for those of you who've been following me, you know about my process, and that is that I take a question each month, maybe something someone directly asked me, a prospect, a client, or something I just observed that's common to a lot of different entrepreneurs, and then I create a video around it. So this month the video is on 6 mistakes people make in networking. All right, so let me give you kind of some background on this. When I transitioned from therapy to coaching, really in therapy, if you're decent, once you're established, you can really have a full caseload with referrals from clients, professionals, and insurance companies with really not a lot of ongoing marketing. Now, that's not if you have a boutique practice, but if you're just someone taking insurance and you get on those panels, you can fill up pretty quick. So transition to coaching was a little bit different story. The training around coaching was really around, how to coach, but they gave you very little information on how to get clients, how to build your business. So I basically started by creating that website and getting behind my social media channels or whatever, and just thinking that was going to be what's going to bring clients in. And I had a rude awakening that isn't how clients come in. So there's a time for digital marketing, online marketing, and I know people that do that exclusively and get clients. But it really does require, I say, more advanced skills, and you really need to have some knowledge about your ideal client, which initially you may not know. So I had a business coach tell me at one point, just said, you need to get out from behind your computer and get out to go networking. So networking properly is really a great way to get immediate feedback on you, your business, and your offerings. But many, many, many people don't know how to network well and are making time-wasting mistakes. So we're going to talk today about 6 mistakes people make in networking. So the first mistake is not networking and not knowing what networking is. So here's a little word nerd thing. Networking is the action or process of interacting with others to exchange information and develop professional or social contacts. So it could be in person, online. So for example, LinkedIn's a very popular business kind of networking site. It's not spamming people with emails in their contact boxes or direct messages. That is not networking. Now you can reach out via that and with the thought of having some engagement, and I would consider that networking. I network on LinkedIn very similar to I do at a normal networking group. My goal is to get with them in person to have that exchange of information. So it's not marketing. Network is distinct from marketing, but it can be something that generates leads in your business. Number 2, not making time, honoring the time, or having a plan for both network and follow-up and implementing that plan. So there are multiple steps involved in networking. And the problem with it with business owners is it's not an immediate payoff. It's more of a long-term relationship building strategy. So it's easy to not prioritize networking when you're busy, and it's even easier to do that when you feel uncomfortable or you really don't know what you're doing. So part of it is you don't know where you're going, you don't know what you're going to do, you don't know when you're going to do it. Chances are pretty slim you're going to actually network. So networking without a good follow-up system, so once you get to the meeting or whatever, that you execute is a huge opportunity cost and a waste of time. You don't just network. I mean, some people get some benefit, but really the benefit's in the follow-up. Like many other aspects of your business, consistency is important here. So just popping in and out occasionally to a networking group and not really having any kind of follow-up, any kind of plan that you consistently do is a big mistake. So and kind of go back to the first one, not networking, not know what networking is. And I would say, I'm not talking just salespeople. If you're the visionary in your business, and you want your business to grow and prosper, you you need to be networking. I don't care if you're doctor, dentist, whatever, and there are different ways to network, but you need to be doing that. So, number three, not having a networking strategy. So this gets into know why you're networking, not just because I told you to do it. I mean, why are you networking? Are you networking to get leads? Are you networking to get business collaborations? Are you networking to find great team members? What is it? Why are you there? Are you networking because you want to do speaking agreements, or speaking opportunities? You want to connect with people of how to do that. Whatever it is, you need to know what the goal is, and then you need to figure out, okay, if that's the goal, how should I be networking? So you want to the way you network, when you network, how you network, and there needs to be a path between the networking activity and the goal you have for networking. So, number four, not knowing networking etiquette. I see this a lot in email and LinkedIn. We all know it, spam. That is not networking. Now, they may be trying to engage with somebody, but I would not consider that networking. I would consider that kind of a icky form of marketing. I don't like it. I don't like getting unsolicited things and emails and LinkedIn's and all that. Although I got my VA that way, and it wasn't icky what he did, how he did it. But so again, there are some etiquette. Like, you can still send an email, a cold call, or something, but it's how you do it that can kind of determine if it's networking or kind of spammy marketing. The other type of etiquette, having a taker's rather than a giver's attitude. If you've ever done a networking interaction with somebody like this, they kind of feel they're basically there to tell you about them and their offer and what they're going to do, and they really are not that interested in listening to you. And they're trying to get you. If they figure this is the real poor etiquette, they figured you're not gonna be a client or something. If that's their goal, they're going to try to get off the phone as quickly as possible or whatever. I mean, they don't even have any class of how they do it. And they really don't even care about the other person's business. They just want to tell you about theirs. Being distracted. A lot of these same kind of people, they'll be the ones looking at their watch or phone, checking emails while they're having a conversation with you, assuming that's online, not maintaining eye contact, being disrespectful. Just a lot of times you'll hear them talking about, like, somebody else is talking to them while they are interacting with you. Again, that's like a phone thing or online, or they're in a networking group and you're in front of them talking, you're having an exchange, and they're looking around the room for other people. All of these things are very distracted. I think another kind of etiquette thing with networking, if you're calling somebody, I always try to say, even if I'm just calling for an appointment or follow up to, I met you at this thing, would you open to doing a one-on-one or whatever, I always say if they pick up, is this a good time? Do you have a minute? A lot of times people just charge in. Now, my feeling is if I don't have time, I don't answer the phone, but that's not how other people do it. And so I think it's appropriate to ask somebody, is this a good time? That's just polite. That's good etiquette. Approaching someone who's reaching out to you in a network setting with suspicion and hostility. So, and this gets back to the person's confused. So there was a person, we have a local group that people present about their businesses. They ask for input, and they leave their phone number and they say, reach out to me if you want to do that, want to learn more about it. So I always reach out, if it's someone that's appropriate, I'll reach out and I'll try to schedule a one-on-one, where basically the way I do it is, I'd like to learn more about you and your business, share a little bit about me and I, and see how we can support each other. So it's more of a mutual thing. It's not like, I want to hear all about your business, or I want to tell you all about my business. It's mutual. So I did that with this person, and I was like being given the third degree. Well, what's your business and what are you doing? And I was going to introduce myself after I saw her present, but she ran out before the thing was over. Um, so very, and it was when I saw it was that person calling me back, so I did pick up the phone even though I was in the middle of something else, which I normally don't do, but I had reached out to her a couple days before. And this took about 10 minutes, this inquiry. What are you doing? What do you want? How do you know that I'd be a good client? I mean, just, it was, I felt like I was getting the third degree. And I said a couple of times, look, hey, if this really isn't something you do in your business, it's totally fine. What I'm wanting to do is X. So that's someone else that's kind of confused. In all honesty, I was interested in her product, actually. I had been exposed to the product by someone else online, very interested, asked them to follow up with me. They didn't. And then this other person had the same product and they were publicly, and I was like, oh, great, someone local that does this. I was interested in her product and she wouldn't even set up an appointment with me. So something's off there. So that's not, it's rude. If you're going to be presenting in a setting and leaving your phone number and telling people to call you, you need to have a little bit of a process of how you want to, other than like that, like the in inquiry like that was aggressive and kind of hostile. Um, the other thing you can do that's poor etiquette is offering things that don't have value to the other person, so you look like you're giving. I know there are people. It seems like they took a class or something, and they doing a one-on-one and talking to you, and then there's nothing really further that you can do with that person. Like, it's not, you don't need their services, they don't need your services, or no other things that could do. And so this one person said, oh yeah, I'd be happy to introduce you to so and so. They're a Christian business owner, and again, or they're a Christian, not even really, and or send you to this group. Like, you didn't even really ask for that. And it's kind of, those are usually awful. It's one thing if it's a very well thought out connection. Like, I introduced a guy, did an email connection as part of a networking thing. He was a video editor, and I had another person I met in my network who had a company where they edit videos, or they create videos and movies from people's stories. So there was like a unique benefit. And I did do an email introduction, and he was very appreciative of it, and she responded, thank you. I mean, but when you give someone an introduction and it's not really equal, like, it's more of a, it's one thing if it would benefit both parties, but if it's an introduction where it may more benefit the one and not the other, it'd be kind of more of like a hassle for the other person. That's poor etiquette. That's poor networking etiquette. Number 5, thinking that sales is a dirty word and a no-no. And so it's not that you can't, when you're networking, ever sell anything. So part of the problem with this is you don't even know who your ideal clients are or not. So if you've got someone sitting in front of you who is your ideal client, has the exact problem that you solve, yet you don't recognize it, or you do recognize it, but you feel like, oh, I don't want to say anything because that would be too salesy or whatever. So that's a problem and a mistake. Not recognizing when they're in front of you, not picking up on the interest signals and buying signs. Really, so how do you work with people, or do you have a list or anything, or where can I learn more about what you do? I mean, like, it's not just, they're not just saying it to make you feel better. Like, they're giving you signals that they're interested in more. Do you work with people in my industry? This kind of thing. So not having an appropriate offer. So if you're doing networking, I mean, to say, when you meet with someone for the first time and say, you'd be great for my $3,500 coaching program that takes a year, I mean, just, that's not an appropriate next step. So you want to have a step. Well, what can they do if they want to? So, for me, if they're an appropriate person, I would offer a vision session, which is a paid service. If they're not really there, or that isn't something they're interested in yet, they may be interested, but the timing's not right, then I can offer, would you be interested in getting on my list? Another networking etiquette thing, don't put someone on your list, your email list, that hasn't given you permission. That really sends out desperation energy. But that could be an appropriate ask for somebody who is expressing interest in your business. And then the other thing here on this one, having thin skin should they refuse. So sometimes when you're not used to doing this a lot, part of why we don't ever make the ask, or we say, oh, that's too salesy, I don't want to be like that. And really the bottom line is we don't want to be rejected. And so you just got to have a thicker skin. You're not right for every person. They may not even want to see you ever again. And you may really not click with that person. There may be no synergy. They may have other reasons why they would never consider doing business with you, or the timing's wrong. So you just got to get over that. There's plenty of fish in the sea, but your job is to really ask. It's that's the difference between people that hit their numbers and get the revenue in, and people that don't. Those people ask. They put themselves in opportunities to ask appropriate ones. Not having a plan for the potential brush off to flesh out what's going on. So let's say I think someone would be appropriate for my kind of next ask, which would be like a vision session. And let's say I mention it, and I'll say, you might want to consider doing one of my vision sessions. And I describe what it is, because you said blah, 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 and this could help with this. How does that sound to you? And let's say they say, well, let me think about it, and then I have a process. Okay, and then I was going to send them information. When would be a good time to check back after to see what you think in terms of that? So some people really do need to think about it, or they want to process it. Other people really don't want to do it, and they don't want to be that bold and just say, no, thank you. I feel like I can do that, but so they're trying to delay having to say no. And if you have a good follow-up system, you flesh that out. Eventually they're either going to say no. I had this one gal who really didn't like Christians. And I don't work exclusively with Christians. And again, it was another one where this person had a business. I was interested in their product. It didn't have anything to do with my business. And she had like a real healthy food business. And so I was just trying to do a one-on-one with her. I wanted to learn more. I wanted to learn more about her. Of course, I share about my business because I believe in more reciprocal process. And she kept putting me off, or now's not a good time, or, I'd catch her on the phone. Is this a good time? No, it's not. But she never really, so finally, and I would even say, if this is something you don't do in your business or you're not interested in doing, that's totally fine, Finally, she said, I'm not interested, and again, that is not on me. That's on her. So when you learn, it's like, okay, that's someone else that has a hang up about saying no to someone, and they have boundary problems. I have a little system of how many times I'm going to call somebody. But if they keep saying, yeah, now's not the good time, but I'm, giving me signals they're interested later, and I'm not saying they're a good client for my business. I'm just trying to get to know them better. And again, that was another person that I actually was interested in their business. But we never had that conversation. Number 6, networking in the wrong places with the wrong people. And that could be what I just said there. But not understanding when and with whom you should be networking. It may change as your business evolves. Like I'm noticing now, I have like 2 levels of clients. So I'm getting more clear about who those are. They're a little bit different. They're the same person, but at different stages in their business. And the more I can ask myself, like when someone has a LinkedIn request to connect, I usually will connect with them unless it's someone that I have had a bad experience with. Like people from Africa sending me messages to donate to their orphanage multiple times, like that. I've kind of started to not accept those, or kind of Eastern or like kind of Middle Eastern people, like, because I can tell from their name, that are digital marketing. I had a really uncomfortable one-on-one with someone that had that kind of business, and I don't want to really do business randomly with someone across the world that I don't know about at all. And I can tell they're really focused on a sale, not a relationship. So I will basically kind of screen those out. So over time, and I have been actually quite poor at doing this. I probably reach out too much to the not as interested people. I didn't screen out the ones that I already kind of knew haven't been as fruitful or reciprocal. And then, that has taken away time from meeting with people that are better fits. So that can be a problem. Not tracking the results of your networking efforts related to your networking goals. I had a guy who was kind of a LinkedIn expert, and he had a really great system, and it kind of convicted me on something I wasn't doing. But he just said, you want to really look at what are the kind of people on LinkedIn in particular that you get. If my goal is to get leads and sales, as that's my networking goal, you want to look at who your clients you've gotten from that source, and who you've gotten that declined to work with you, and if there's patterns, you want to look for that. And then again, you want to in the future try to meet more of the ones that were better fits, and kind of screen out the ones that weren't. And he's right. I'm just now starting to do that more because my time's more limited. But that's a clear example of being in front of someone that's not the wrong person. And even maybe if you're not tracking, okay, I'm doing network on LinkedIn, I'm going to this local networking group, I'm in whatever, BNI. You want to look at, okay, how much business am I getting from these groups? How many referrals? And how much time is it taking? I mean, I kind of mentioned BNI. I know some people just love it, and I think it really works for certain businesses, but it's a lot of time. So, yeah, you may get certain leads and sales, but how much time are you doing to get that? And do you enjoy that? Is it something you enjoy? The process that they have, is that something you enjoy, or do you kind of dread going to that? So that is all important where you are. Not honoring the gut feel. Okay, so not getting the skills, this is underneath wrong places run people, not getting the skills necessary and being prepared, like with business cards and showing up well to the networking events you do attend, which could cause insecurity and discomfort. So the reason why I said this one is because you may say, and my next one I was going to say is not honoring the gut feel about groups or professionals that don't feel right to you. So if you are unprepared, if you don't know what you're doing with networking, any networking group, it could be a perfect networking group for your ideal clients, for you. You may feel like, oh, I didn't like this group, or whatever, but it has nothing to do with the group. It might be that you were not prepared, you don't know what you're doing, you don't have a good strategy, and you feel kind of stupid, at the networking group. But let's say you do know those things, and let's say you have a group that kind of checks all the boxes of what you're looking for, who your ideal client is, etc. But you go and you just get a gut feeling, like you don't, like I had one that it's a good group, but it got very popular, they were really growing. And I'm just not into like the statusy thing in my town, like who goes to the private school and who does this. I mean, the who's who crowd in my city. I mean, I am so turned off by that. That's just not me. And this group started to kind of have that feel like, they look on social media and it'd be this post of these people at this group's networking event, and they were all like the pretty girl. It felt like high school, like they were all the pretty girls and look at us, and it felt, and so I just kind of backed off from that group. I was like, this isn't really the crowd I want to be around, and not that there weren't still other legitimate, healthy business owners there, but that particular element that group was starting to develop was such a turnoff to me. it just wasn't something I wanted to do. I mean, for a while. So, and I still haven't gone back. Honor that. There's plenty out there to do. You don't need to go to something that just doesn't feel good. In fact, I had one of the gals in that group. Again, it was one of those deals where I invited her to do a workshop, and she had expressed an interest in manifesting, which is part of the offering I'd had at that time, and I still do some of that with clients. But she said she was interested in it, so I invited her to this workshop, was following up, and then she gave me a really rude response. I have no interest in going. After multiple follows up, when she had originally said, "Oh yeah, that's really cool, I'm interested in it," she's like, "I have no desire to go to your workshop." I mean, it was just, there was no need to be rude like that. And she was one of the people in this element of this other group that felt kind of mean girl high school, and I was like, I have better things to do. So, so to conclude, I went from hating network to enjoying it and looking forward to it. So, and honestly, COVID made me really value the in-person network. I mean, more than I did. I mean, I like online. It's convenient, and I do LinkedIn. I do appointments on Zoom, even with local people. But boy, there's something about getting out of your office, getting out of your routine, spiffing up a little bit, going to a networking group that I really missed after COVID. So thank you, COVID. Now I did have to cut back on networking because I've been devoting time to really learning those skills I was talking about for online and that. Now that I really know my clients better, I've gotten really ideas about my offers, etc. Now that's the next level, and I just couldn't devote the same level of time to the networking that I was. So I've cut it back, and now I've kind of just go to one group weekly. It's same group, and I've changed my intention and focus that I have attend there. I don't put as much pressure on finding leads and stuff there. It's more like I want to be, if people know me in town and they want to see me in person, they know I go to that group. They are, I'm visible enough in that group that that's where they can find me, and so, and I like the energy of it, but it's not what it used to be, which was, oh, this is a great lead generation. Now I'm trying to get that done in different ways. I'm learning how to pick up a lot of information from people from the way they show up and network, which really helps me discern and filter who I do and don't want to engage with in the future. So, when you get like a rude response, or like I mentioned that, FBI inquiry on why I was calling that person and what's my business, and all this, or the person that says, I just don't like Christians after 10 calls and just couldn't say it earlier. And, I just, after you kind of get over the, oh, I didn't feel good, thing, what's really great is you start to see patterns. Like, okay, these are signs. I can kind of cut bait sooner on these kind of individuals, and these are signs. Like, one of the things is a really good sign of a networking, a good fit, someone that's receptive. Like, they're cool with them. They're not afraid of me mentioning my business, or even if I did invite them to do a vision session. I mean, they're confident enough that they would say, yeah, that's a fit, or no, I'm not. Like, they're open. I really love networking with people like that. And those are, you can tell from little steps you do in the networking process who's like that and who's not. And it does save you time once you do that. So if this is helpful, if you like my style of teaching, education, how my business is focused on spiritual and faith-based business owners, and you think I might be a good resource for you, you want to start a conversation, feel free. I am very open to interacting with people about that. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn, direct message me, Christina Marie Weber, Christian Biz Owners on Fire, either of those, in Wichita, Kansas. You can find my profile. Feel free to direct message me, and if you want to start a conversation, I'm happy to do that. Use the phrase "ready to thrive," and then I'll know you're kind of considering, me as a business resource. I'll know kind of what you're wanting. The other thing you can do is go to my contact page, Christian Biz Owners on Fire. same thing. Just reach out there and I'll get back with you. So, would love to support you in however I can. So, you have a wonderful rest of the day. All right, strike the pose.